Hello and welcome everyone to our first super weekend, and we are here ready to go, and we are going to be kicking off our first super weekend of the year. And I've got none other than Kangas here with me, and we are going to be it's a whole 3 days of Academy action. That's insanity to me. And first
50% more. 50% more action, man. That's a lot.
Pretty good. I don't know numbers, but you know, it seems like a lot.
Well, as a previous mathematician in a past life, I can say 50% is a decent chunk. And I'm excited for it because it means we get even more action. There's a lot of new teams, or not new teams, but teams with their full rosters actually like in now. So we get to see them with more games played in week 4 here. So I'm super excited for that. But Mazel, of course, before we get into all the action ahead of us, we have to remind everybody, if you haven't yet, the open qualify or the OQs are still accepting applications. So make sure that if you have a team and you have players together, sign up now. Go check out the Unified Twitter account for more information on how to do so. But yeah, if you want to compete in Proving Grounds, make sure that you are signing up because you do not want to miss that deadline.
Getting a little bit closer to when you can no longer make it into Proving Grounds. It's getting scary, all right? Y'all get in there, get your team signed up. Speaking of teams, I guess solo performances, we had Champions Q go live, Kangas. It was an absolutely interesting couple of days for sure. I will say personally, I'm a little scared because every time I go watch one of these streams, the person I'm watching just dies instantly. So I don't know if I've got caster curse just built into my stream watching, but maybe I need to stay away from the Champions Q streams.
Maybe you should, honestly. I'm not too sure, but we're keeping track. So if you check it out, there is actually a website you can go to that will track all of Champions Q. That's championsq.lolesports.com. So if you head to Lole Esports, you can find it through there or through the Twitter page. But we're keeping track of the Academy players and how they're stacking up against each other. So this is our list of the top 10 Academy players so far on Champions Q as of last night.
Yeah.
So maybe it's been updated since then, but as of last night, this is the order. I'm seeing a lot of EG on there, Leonard. I'm seeing a lot of EG.
Definitely seeing. I'm just glad to see the Academy seed representing. Not to say, I will say some of the solo queue Avengers has been looking pretty good too. The thing that stood out to me is the wholesomeness of this next piece that we're gonna bring up. Surdy having fun playing League of Legends, having fun with Champions Q. And yes, you can say what you will about Champions Q, but these are the kinds of moments that make it so nice.
Yeah, rip to the solo queue ladder, but Champions Q is being enjoyed by those that have been accepted into it for sure. And I've been watching a lot of the streams, super fun. Viewership is crazy with a lot of these streamers that oftentimes are getting,
some of these matchups, man. Like the matchups are insane.
It's insane. I got to see RJS and Malice play on the same team last night. It was incredible. I loved that. It was so fun. So yeah, Champions Q, it's up. If you haven't yet, make sure that you're checking out all the Twitch streams around it. There's even a Twitter page, I believe ran by our very own Winters Ward, who's like a Twitch mod everywhere, that just gives updates on where streams are live and how you can catch those. So make sure that you're checking out that. But there's a lot of other stuff going around in the Twitter sphere this week, Mazel. Outside of just Surdy's tweet, we do actually 100 Thieves announcing maybe a little preemptively
the mountaintop
first place in Academy type beat. Now, technically, they are not first as of right now, but I like the enthusiasm.
Hey, do you see those smiling faces? They're on top of the mountaintop. They got the whole shtick going. I mean, 100 Thieves just know how to do it. All right, they are manifesting, Kangas.
True, bestie. Manifest those dreams. 100 Thieves Academy, I believe you.
Definitely. Another one. We have had another iteration of the Dignitas poses. Yeah. We get nice portrait photos of these guys. Maybe we'll see if we have our own response, but I don't think we can top this. It's pretty cute. Who you like taking to prom?
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're all, they brought the flowers. They got the limo.
The hands on the shoulder and Darkwing's eyes closed are what sold it for me.
I didn't even notice that. That's perfect. But of course, not to be outdone, Cloud9 Academy had some fun last week as well, picking up a 2-0 with Mouth in the Jungle, but they wanted to highlight a different member of the team on the Zeri pick in particular. Darshan absolutely popping off. So cool to see Darshan sent tweet. Daddy Sean? I don't know how to call this one. There's got to be a name in there somewhere for it, but I can't quite find it.
I feel like that's a deep dark hole we don't want to go down. I just like that it's literally Darshan. That's the tweet. That's all. All you got to do is Photoshop his face on another body. Darshan. There you go. King of the top lane apparently. But it's definitely nice to see Cloud9 having their own responses to some social media. But Kangas, here we have a new arrival on the scene.
Ooh, are you? I think you're right. I think you're right, Mazel. This triple has found his way into the headquarters and is the starting mid laner for CLG Academy for today's matches. Very exciting stuff here because obviously CLG, they've been playing, it was Palafox, then DeMonte, you know, one of the mid lane positional coaches subbing into the mid lane, but now they have their actual Academy mid laner. If you remember Triple from FlyQuest Academy of the past, very strong performer on champions like the Azir in particular, so it's cool to see him now actually on the team, and hopefully they can bring things together because their coach Juves is also in the States as well. So everybody's together, which means that Violet is the last player that we do not have yet in Academy. So fingers crossed it will get him
I'm just
soon.
saying, Triple knows where he wanted to take that photo, right next to the trophy. He knows the aspirations are there. We have another iteration of our birthdays as Diamond had his birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, Diamond. I hope you had a wonderful one, and I hope you're ready to play some League of Legends today.
I think he was ready yesterday. He was grinding champions.
Yes, he was
for like all day. So yeah, hopefully that was a good birthday for him. But with that being said, let's bring our eyes to the future now, Mazel, and look at how Academy has been shaping out so far with the current standings. Of course, 100 Thieves Academy, we're celebrating first place, technically one game behind that, as CLG Academy are still up there in that spot.
Hey, manifest. That's all you need. Yeah, CLG obviously sitting prima proper in the top spot. My eyes this week are on this bottom area of the standings, right? It's a super weekend. There's a lot of games to be played, 6 total. That can completely change these standings from top to bottom.
Exactly. And FlyQuest versus TSM, they're actually playing each other today. So that's a big match for those teams sitting down at the bottom there. And then, of course, C9 and Immortals right on the precipice of 6th place, which would be that, you know, buy into Proving Grounds rather than having to play through the Proving Grounds qualifier. So that's how things are shaking out with the standings right now. But we also have a new segment that we want to introduce here, Mazel, where we take a deeper dive into some of the individual performers here in Academy. It's fun to talk about the teams, but at the end of the day, Academy is all about improvement. So we wanted to focus on one player in particular, Kaori, the AD carry for Evil Geniuses Academy. So we actually had Joshi and Cubby sit down to talk a little bit about how he's been performing so far in this season.
Wow. Watch Kaori play out this clip. The sidesteps, the Gale Force to dodge out on the Silas E. He is the second coming of Luger. Another TCL MVP has graced Academy.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Alright, Cubby, let's be real. This guy is really good, but if he really wants to take it to the next level, he's going to really have to work on his threat evaluation. This is on full display in this clip right here, where they're playing up against Immortals, and despite the fact that they can see all the members of the enemy team, Kaori still ends up walking the wrong way around, and he's not there to do any DPS to concept whatsoever.
Alright, Josh, but let's be honest, this is a pretty easy fix. Anyone can cook around that wall. Have you seen this guy bend Jhin bullets or pump out the deeps on Jinx and Aphelios?
This isn't the only time that he ends up missing out on a lot of damage. We actually have another clip where he goes up against Golden Guardians and spends a lot of time not auto-attacking the targets he needs to. Kaori actually starts playing out this fight pretty well, right? He gets a lot of chakrams and he's ready to take anything that Golden Guardians are going to be throwing. But he over-respects a lot of the threats that Chime has, right? Chime has already used his ultimate, and Kaori, we know he's looking for the iconic ult. Diana's gonna come in, and Kaori's able to flash it anyway, so he needs to be moving forward if he has the confidence to do that. However, once he's already lost his chakrams, he's lost a lot of DPS, and after the flash comes through, it's really difficult for Kaori to continue doing anything because of how much time he has wasted. After Iconic backs out, Kaori, again, paying too much attention to Iconic, misses a lot of damage here onto Tony Top.
Okay, so what you're saying is that Kaori is still a really strong player, but there are things in fights that he can do to improve.
For sure. And don't get me wrong, I think Kaori is one of, if not the best AD carries that we have in Academy. We can actually see from the rest of this clip, he plays it out really well, constantly auto-attacking anybody that's able to create a threat. but he's not necessarily able to do this before the fight, and it ends up meaning that he's missing out on a lot of opportunities to make himself look even better than he already is.
Loved hearing from the fellows there, and especially getting a little bit of a deep dive on Kaori and seeing how well this ADC can at least have a ceiling of, right? Like it is sky is the limit for this guy.
And that's a big takeaway from that, is that there's things to improve on, which you could probably say for any player in any league if you really focus on them during team fights. But the overall narrative here is that Kaori's cracked.
Yeah,
he's
really
actually an insane player. So I think it's really cool that we can see where he's strong and then also where we're hoping that we see some development from this player.
Exactly that. But Kangas, we got to start getting ready for the day because we got a long one ahead of us here. And talking about the schedule a little bit, we're going to go ahead and bring up Stream A's schedule on the day. So we'll have 3 best-of-2 series back-to-back. And it's going to be Dignitas Academy taking on EGA Academy, Cloud9 Academy taking on TL Academy, 100 Thieves Academy taking on IMT Academy.
IMT Progressive. When Cloud9 versus TL is the one that jumps out to me immediately right there. I'm jealous. I'll admit it. I am on stream B for the day, so I am jealous that you get this game.
Ha-ha!
Yeah, I'll admit it. But let's take a look at the games that will be on my stream. So again, reminder, twitch.tv/academy, twitch.tv/faceittv. Make sure you have them both pulled up so you're supporting Academy no matter where it is streamed. This will be on the Faceit TV stream. FlyQuest versus TSM and CLG versus Golden Guardians. Usually the Academy teams will be locking it in, and CLG versus Golden Guardians should be very exciting. FlyQuest versus TSM, very standings important because these are the 2 teams that are tied for last place right now. So if either of them pick up a 2-0, that's massive.
Well, if you want to stay up to date on all these games and all the info coming out of the Academy scene, all the content, go follow at Path to LCS on Twitter. That's where we post all the content, where we post all the updates, all the clips. Go follow that account. It is so important to keeping this community alive and well, and being able to have those interactions, be able to watch all the action that's going on all the streams.
Do it for the memes. I've been collecting screenshots of all the casters in very embarrassing photos, and those will be going on the social accounts throughout the split. So
just little Easter eggs for you.
If anything, just for that, just so you can join in. But Mazzella, I think that about wraps things up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does. I'm feeling a little tired, I guess, ahead of this. So
super weak.
I feel like I'm gonna need a little energy shot. So I believe that you have received your energy consumption beverage. And we're gonna cheers. So everyone, have a wonderful start to the Academy Week 4 Super Weekend, and we'll see you on the Rift. Welcome on in, everyone. We are here to kick off the super week of Academy Week 4. I'm Mazel, joined by Joshi and Mad Magical, the maddest of all the Magicals. And we're going to get ready for this first series in Dignitas Academy, taking on EGA Academy, or I guess EG Academy. And it's going to be a tightly contested one for sure. These two teams have a lot running for them. This super weekend is going to mean a lot. And I, first of all, just want to dive straight into that Dignitas roster and talk a little bit more about this squad.
Yeah, this is definitely a squad that we're going to be paying a lot of attention to. We already had an opportunity to see what's going on. Go ahead and check out Twitter where I have an opportunity to talk with XU. But Dignitas has been looking quite good so far. They are currently third in the standings at 7-5, and they're looking to continue the success that they've had thus far. And that's the big thing that we're going to be paying attention to for all of these members is, can XU and the rest of the team continue just having all the success that we've been seeing?
Yeah, exactly that. It's so important for XU to get off the ground running for this team, but the other pieces of the squad definitely bolster him up in that fashion. But on the other side of the rift, we have Evil Geniuses Academy, who, you know, themselves have a pretty stacked roster on paper, but have not been able to put it together all that well. We already talked about Kaori and how important he is, how pivotal he is to the ceiling of this team.
Yeah, and you look at how Evil Geniuses have kind of played. I mean, sure, their record is right in the middle. 6-6. They're doing pretty decently for themselves. They're in the middle of the pack. But this is a team that you kind of expect a lot more from. You look at how they are, and especially Kaori. That's why we keep talking about this player, because you look at his positioning. You look at how he's able to play even when they're behind. And he's always positioning exactly where he needs to be to try to see if he can clean up these fights for the team. You just need to see them really try to see if they can fix some of the mistakes they make in the early game, especially on the top side of the map, so the bot side could just carry them in late.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to shore up the other side of the map. Something important to us that we really wanted to bring up is the difficulty of upcoming schedule for both these teams. We're going to look at Dignitas first and kind of break down what we think about their upcoming schedule and, with this super weekend or week, I guess, how that's going to kind of pan out.
Yeah, I mean, we have to note that both these teams have very difficult schedules coming out to round out the first half of the spring split, right? They are both going to be playing up against 100 Thieves, and they are both going to be playing up against CLG, just in different orders. And it does mean that they're going to be in a very tough spot where they are trying to find their way in order to continue winning and really prove that they belong in the top half of the bracket, because we're now starting to have opportunities to start talking about playoffs, right? Or not necessarily playoffs, but the ability to automatically qualify for proving grounds. And once we have seen all teams play all of their opponents, it gives us a much better idea on where all of our teams are going to be shaking out towards the end of the split.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a tall task for sure to hammer home every one of those wins for Dig, but they've got the teamwork, they've got the squad, they definitely can put that together. On the other side, similarly difficult schedule, as you said, both teams facing 100 Thieves, but EGA's upcoming schedule as well, putting some hurdles in the way to Evil Genius dominance, I guess.
Well, I'd call it even like the soaring in the standings. Try to see if they can get back up in to the top parts of the brackets and to the standings so they can have a better placement for proving grounds. Because you look at how they've played, and they've beaten some good teams. They've been able to do well. First week, they won one Team Liquid, a team that we came into this year saying was going to be strong. Sure, they didn't have their full roster at that time, but they've been able to put up some good performances, except when you look at last week. Last week, they had an easy game against TSM. They were able to beat them first day, but then they got 2-0'd by Cloud9. Team that had just gotten their roster together, so we had a lot of question marks going for Cloud9, but losing to them and the fashion they did especially makes it so that we have to start wondering how Evil Geniuses are going to be for the rest of the season, whether or not they're going to be able to pick up the pieces from that devastating loss and be able to actually put up against teams like Dignitas, teams like 100 Thieves, teams like CLG.
Yeah, and I had an interesting
Go ahead.
conversation with Tim Seven Houston last night. If you want to go check out that conversation, check out his Oracle's Elixir podcast. But we were talking about, how much can you just take into account your wins and losses versus Cloud9, because they have come in saying we are planning to play a very different style than everybody else in Academy. And Academy, as we already talked about with Kaori, is a place where even our best players are looking to learn, they're looking to get better, and wins are kind of a secondary byproduct of that. The better you are, the easier it is going to be to win. And this is a spot where, I kind of wanted to discount a previous match that Evil Geniuses had, and I kind of want to discount the match that they had up against Cloud9 as well. And I know it's going to be unfair because I would lead them at 6-2, but it is a spot where, we have to kind of take all of the results with a bit of a grain of salt in order to really establish where these teams are.
Yeah, for sure. I just love that we're getting all these storylines coinciding on the Super Week. Like, this Super Week means so much for these teams because 3 series of games is going to put you up or down in the standings. It's going to be very interesting. Somebody who, we're going to have to rely on to be a carry performance, something we've already talked about so much here today, is Kaori and being able to be that AD carry for the squad.
Right, and looking at how Kaori is, Josh, you kind of had that nice little video before in the pre-show with Cubby talking about how good this player is.
On the
but there's a reason why we keep hyping
He is
up.
the second coming
Game
of
over from
Luke.
Turkey. We already knew that he was going to be a good player just looking at his stats from that league. And now seeing how he's playing in Academy, he's living up to a lot of that hype for me. Here's one of the players I had pegged as being one of the top 5 going into this entire season. I looked at his stats, I looked at how he played, I watched his games. His positioning was always good in TCL, and that continues to be true here in Academy. Yeah. Obviously, we need to see them be able to work together as a team a little bit more, but you could really see the synergy that he and Skytech have been able to develop just in the short weeks we've had them so far.
Yeah, and I have to say that, I was a little bit trying to come down and just say, like, hey, yes, this guy is really good, but there's still some things we'd like to see him work on, right? I think all the TCL fans who are currently watching are going to be like, oh, is Luger better? Is Kaori better? And the answer is, guys, they're both really, really good. But we also have to notice that a lot of these stats that he currently has, absolutely insane across the entire board. The KDA he has is 3rd, not just in his role, across the entire league, behind Stixay, who had one of the craziest games up against Cloud9 last week, and Busio, who's only played a couple of games at this point. So Kaori being 3rd at that level is just kind of showing how strong he has been as a player so far.
Yep, it's going to be a pivotal piece today to be able to find the wins. We are ready for Champ Select, fellas, so I'm going to go ahead and send you on our way for our first game of the day.
Thank you so much, Lennon. It's always good having you around. We'll see you after the break when we get into the middle of our series for our best of 2, but we got to start off somewhere. Dignitas Academy, Evil Geniuses Academy. Talked a lot about how these teams, especially like just looking at them in the standings, what we can expect for them in the future. But we got to look at what's going to happen.
The best 80 carries that we have.
They have to be able to beat one another.
See from the rest of his clip,
to either
he
stay
plays it
up
out
in the top
really well, constantly auto-attacking anybody that's able to create a threat.
The 2-0
but he's
for
not
Evil Geniuses would actually put them, I think, slightly over
missing out on
that
a lot of opportunities to make
it would put them right above
even better than he already is.
Dignitas.
Yeah, and I mean, it just kind of goes to show, right? These two teams are at 3rd and 6th, and they are only separated by 1 game currently. So 2-0 for either of them drastically changes where these two teams' futures are expected to go. But expect us to spend a lot of time looking at Kaori. And a quick reminder, we are on patch 12.3. That does mean that the gen and nerfs are coming through, but is likely not going to change a lot of the strategies for these teams. 12.3 was a little bit of a lighter patch across the board, so expect to see a lot of trends continuing this week.
I want to see if we see Ari. Ari got her mini rework. I want to see if that pick comes through at all. But right now, we're seeing bans that are pretty typical. Gwen, we know that Surdy and Eclipse both play that champion very well. This Jinx first lock-in is a good takeaway from Kaori. He's been doing a good job on that, but so has Spawn. So it makes a lot of sense looking at a lot of these. You see mostly in the bans just the power picks and then just try to see what you can grab that's left over.
Oh, yeah. Again, we're going to expect to see a lot of the similar things from what we've been seeing for a little while. Tommy was having a lot of success on the Jarvan. Jinx still very popular. I'm a little bit surprised that Twisted Fate is drawing bans because the consensus on this champion was that he kind of got gutted on the 12.3 patch where he lost the attack speed on the E. He lost a bit of raw power out of his Q, and it actually really has a large effect on his ability to wave clear minions. But you still want to make sure you do take it away from Saligo, still something you'd be very comfortable with. And Evil Geniuses and Dignitas have so many directions that can go this early on in the game just because both of them are just picking very strong champions. We've seen all of this before.
Yeah, nothing too surprising at the moment. Everything is pretty much the leftovers from what either didn't get nerfed, as you were talking about, or the things that hadn't been banned themselves. I'm kind of looking to see what we're going to see out of XU. I expect to be a jungle support pick. The Corki Victor matchup not going to be nearly as likely, especially with the nerfs that came into Corki. Maybe we'll see Victor still. Like, that could still be a good pick to go for. But we're seeing a lot more picks that can go into him pretty well, that can try to see if they can beat him in the lane or just outscale him. That's why, there you go. The Lee Sin pick for XU makes a lot of sense.
We have to ask right now, Magical. I know the audience hasn't seen this, but we've seen it. We saw 1v1s, Surdy versus XU, and they were Lee Sin 1v1s, and Surdy was able to actually win that. So, is it really going to play a big part in this when the enemy top laner is now beating you on one of your best champions in 1v1s? I can't imagine so. They do this all the time.
Whoa, people, again, you didn't see this. We gotta see this.
We gotta see
They were
it.
both playing Lee Sin.
Yeah.
30 ain't gonna be playing Lee Sin this game, so we don't know how that matchup's gonna go just yet.
That's true. XU will be getting one of his favorite champions, and it will be looking quite good. And the big thing that we have to note here is, again, all this has been seen before, but the Thresh band away means that we are going to be getting Leona coming out for Skytech. So already a lot of all-in power for both sides of the map. They both have engage tools. They've hit all of the major boxes that I like to see, and it gives a lot of freedom towards the top half of the map when you start drafting your mid lane and your top lane to figure out what direction it is you want to put your composition.
And I'm expecting to see a lot of focus on to those lanes. Mid lane already being focused by that of Evil Geniuses, taking away the Rise. We look at both these players, and both these players have a very large champion pool.
Oh, yeah.
They can play a lot of different champions. We've seen that out of Dark Wings when we look at him in the past in Proving Grounds last year. Soligo, we've seen a lot in Academy already. We know that he's capable of many different styles, but they're still aiming for that pick. They're trying to see if they can whittle down the pool just a bit.
Yeah. And I also want to point out something that Eclipse looking quite good last week, especially up against Viper, where he was able to find a couple of solo kills in ways that I don't think most of us were expecting. I think both these top laners are people that I look to as players that will just kind of randomly find solo kills, and most of them are constantly finding it on the other team, but sometimes it'll also be the other way. So I'm expecting Eclipse versus Surdy to be a very volatile top lane this time around, and with that in mind, it could really upset the balance of power that we were previously setting up for Kaori versus Spawn.
This is why I'm actually expecting to see a mid lane first pick coming in from Evil Geniuses. Try to get the best matchup possible for Surdy, because now people are looking at Eclipse, as you said, as this player that can really take over the top lane. He's someone who's been able to get solo kills over Viper when Viper was playing his Riven, too.
Yeah.
That's a big thing to me, to see that kind of play when you're playing Gwen. And even though Eclipse doesn't get the Gwen this time because they banned it first, he's still capable of these powerful picks. The set, hey!
There we go.
Ari gets picked. I called it at the beginning. I wanted to see it, and the first game, we get it.
Yeah, so this is going to be a big point of power for the side of Evil Geniuses. I was curious which team was going to be the first ones to bring it out, and currently Soligo going to be the first Ari player on the 12.3 patch, at least that I know of. And let's talk a bit about what actually changed about this champion. One, the passive change. You aren't just going to be getting your stacks from hitting minions with spells, you only get it from killing them. And once you get 9, you get a small bit of health back. But importantly, you get a bit of a reset mechanic, not only on your passive, where you get some health every time you get a takedown, but you also get another usage of your ultimate. You get another charge that you can use during the course of that play. And so it means that Ari, where before she was very much just this burst mage that was healing through the lane, has now become this team fighter that becomes incredibly difficult to lock down.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of hovers coming in there from JJ. The Malzahar was the one I was kind of looking at as maybe a potential to be able to counter that of Ari. Try to see if you can stop the movement, as you were talking about, from this Ari, who's going to be able to dance around the battlefield, try to see what they can accomplish on that. But instead, it's going to be the answer of a LeBlanc, trying to assassinate, be the person who can get on top of Kaori in the backline. While Surdy locks in this Jace, the Graves-Jace matchup, we saw a lot in the past. If you look back to last year, usually wasn't it the Graves picked into Jace?
Oftentimes, yeah. This is a matchup that can be very volatile one way or another, right? Because it's two ranged champions. They're both physical damage, and they both have a lot of tools to create space for themselves. And the big thing that we're going to be seeing right now is who is going to be getting to their lethality item quicker. Whoever is able to pick up the Serrated Dirk has a huge matchup when in just the first couple of minutes, and it allows you to oftentimes snowball the game. And because of that, with both XU and Tomio on high ganking junglers, I know we were setting up Kaori and Spawn for having a lot of attention this game, but I kind of feel like we're going to have to turn our attention towards the top side of the map, because both sides picking an incredibly volatile top half of the map.
Yeah, it is volatile, but I always look at a Graves Jace top lane. I'm always like, how do you do anything to them? It's
with your
how
gun.
Do you get on top of them? I guess you just full send it. You try to see what you can get there, because I just am wondering if that's going to actually be the play coming in from XU, coming in from Tomio. Even though the bot lane, like you said, it's, Aphelios Jinx, we've seen it many times. The Leona and Nautilus make me keep my eyes on that bot lane because one misstep from either of these 80 carries is going to be an all-in attempted.
That's true. That's true. I mean, that's something I hadn't really thought about quite as much, and it is a matchup that we typically see going in Leona's favor, just because just the raw damage that is going to be coming out from Skytech oftentimes bullies around Nautilus in ways that the Nautilus can't necessarily respond to. But as the rest of the map ends up playing out, I'm going to have to say that we are looking for one bloody game at this point. Both the Ahri and the LeBlanc can have a lot of saying, oh boy, we're already into the Rift.
We are already loaded up for our first game. Week 4, Super Week, Day 1. Dignitas Academy facing off against Evil Geniuses Academy, who grabbed Saligo Ahri, the mini rework champion that we get to see here in mid lane against Dark Wings.
Yeah, XU pushing forward a little bit, but nobody able to necessarily get a whole lot of forward vision. The only vision that we're seeing go down is, ooh, Skytech not even getting the ward across the wall.
Oh, just walked in, took damage, walked out. Didn't want to get too much taken there. Didn't know where JJ was. A bit unfortunate for Skytech since he's going back to base. Thankfully, how early on into the game it is. Not going to lose any tempo. You can even see how they've already set up a line of wards into that pixel brush. They knew that Dignitas weren't going for an invade. There's nothing happening, so they don't truly get punished for it.
Yeah. My question is how close attention were Dignitas paying to the invade coming from Skytech? Because there is a small animation, right? There's a little like kind of thing where you can see where the wards are actually placed. I don't know if they know if their red buff is warded or not, and that can change the way that XU is going to be pathing early on. And we see him already starting on the top side of the map, which I know we were just setting up for the top lane. It's kind of a flip-flop, like where are we going to be watching Magical, but with both these junglers starting the top side, we can see some very early action.
As JJ was able to get the pull onto Skytech, no follow-up from Spawn. Being careful, both of these bot laners want to get level 2 advantage, so that way they can really flex their might, try to get the push in early. We expect that to be for Kaori and Skytech, because as you said, the Leona matchup usually tends to go the Leona's way over the Nautilus, but granted, look at how JJ and Spawn are playing this one. They are not just playing quietly, they're trying to wrestle that control away.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of damage down really early on. They're going to be playing for level 2 in order to try and push Kaori and Skytech really aggressively. But we're also seeing level 2 starting to come out across the map. Eclipse wins that one, and so does Saligo. Nice hook.
Nice pull, the Zap connects. Ignite is ticking on to Skytech as well. Should be able to survive the fact that heal was up for Kaori, saves his life.
Yeah, JJ Spawn doing a fantastic job pushing Skytech around early on. This is not how this matchup typically goes, but XU also once again dodging out on the wards. I was very excited about how he was able to use these windows in a previous game, and now when they don't see him there, okay, they are already pinging. They know, all right, he skipped the Raptor, he's going directly for the red buff, and that should mean that Kaori and Skytech should feel a lot safer once they know where the Lee Sin is.
And even if you dodge away from the vision, sometimes you're not able to dodge away the knowledge that EG are able to gather for themselves. Because look at the ward's top side. You got one right outside, right there by Eclipse. They also got one in the pixel brush. And since they didn't see XU going for an invade, they didn't see him anywhere. They knew he had to be going for his red buff at that time. This gives a lot of ample time for Tomio to continue to farm up, not really have to worry too much about his lanes. And in fact, it's just going to trade scuttle for scuttle.
Going to be pretty even across the board as we start taking stock of where everything was. JJ using the opportunity of his 80 carry backing in order to go mid lane and kind of harass Saligo a little bit. Not going to get any damage down, but we are going to have to pay attention to how this matchup continues to go. The Ahri, again, something that we haven't seen in competitive play for quite a long time. But as Eclipse roams down, he does need to be careful as he will know that Tomio is in the region, and he just hops over if Tomio has no EQ.
No, he doesn't. Already used that to get over the wall, but you can see that nobody is trying to see if they can get them. Instead, it's going to be the bot lane play onto Skytech. They got a lot of damage, and he has a flash available. Does he even want to use it? Does not. It's going to be JJ getting first blood.
And props to XU there for just holding on to the second part of his Q for as long as possible, just daring Skytech to try and flash out because he knew that the Lee Sin was going to be following it up. Instead, just going to be a pretty easy kill as XU, knowing exactly where Tomio is because of Eclipse rubbing around, able to find an unanswered gank in the bottom side of the map. But at the same time, Alex, we got to check out this mid lane. We weren't talking about it at all, but Saligo already up 2 whole waves of CS at 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, you're right. We didn't really get a touch on that. It was a good push coming in from Saligo. We saw that he got that level 2 advantage over Darkwings and completely zoned him off.
Yeah.
And from there, this advantage has just been his. And I'm wondering where Saligo wants to go, if the play is going to be on a Darkwings mid, or in more likelihood, Saligo, once he hits level 6, is just going to roam around with Tomio.
And that's a very scary dive composition. If you have both Ari and Jarvan coming over walls, it's really difficult. And I mean, the other thing I want to pay attention to, Alex, is if we look at this bot lane really quick, the number of crazy leads we're already seeing in this game is going to make it very, very imbalanced, right? You have 20 CS lead of Spawn over Kaori, who we were just spending a lot of time hyping up as potentially the next coming of Luger. But they also have a huge experience advantage. I mean, Skytech just dinged level 3.
That's going to be pretty devastating for this bot lane. I'm expecting to see the bot lane revisited by XU and Darkwings, which is in fact what they're doing. Pull on Skytech. So Flash finally used just to get a little bit of distance. XU and Darkwings don't want to go any further. They already got the Flash out of Skytech, so they could just wait it out a little bit more until they're pushed up further.
They know that XU, it could very possibly be here. They knew that Darkwings was not in the mid lane. So XU starting this up, a little bit surprising. He is going to get spotted out, but his bottom lane has so much priority, it's difficult for Tomio to even come in.
I was about to say, I don't expect to see Evil Geniuses realistically be able to fight this back, even though Tomio is posturing and gets pulled back in by the Dredge line. So it's going to be Skytech now. Zoned out, those grenades, making sure there's no escape for Skytech, so Spawn can get his first kill.
And he gets a reset too. Watch Saligo, he can try and do something about this. He has the new ultimate.
But didn't steal it away. It was Smite secured by XU. Dignitas fully controlling this bottom half of the map.
Yeah, and this is... I was not expecting it to go this way. I know Spawn and JJ have been having a lot of success and have been looking quite good as some of the more veteran members here for Dignitas, but I was not expecting them to have this much success up against Kaori and Skytech, who are one of the most dominant bottom lanes that we have in Academy.
But that's the thing. We've been talking about Kaori and Skytech so much that Spawn and JJ kind of just been forgotten a little bit about, just with how they've already been in the scene. We've already seen them before, as you had mentioned. But honestly, everyone else on the team, being newer players and having them as the veteran voices for Dignitas, has been working out so well for how they want to be able to play.
Oh,
and now,
XU.
you can see that play in the mid lane. JJ is right behind them. They've got a lot of damage, but Saligo barely is going to be able to survive. Had they waited a little bit longer for JJ to show up, they might have been able to get the kill.
I like the idea, though. It was really, really close. If XU had already completed all of his smites and had the extra burn from the Challenger smite, definitely would have been a kill there. But Saligo able to get out just barely. I didn't see if he got a passive proc off during the bit of an exchange, but that could have explained the discrepancy between the health that they thought he would have and what he actually did. So Tomio is going to reward himself with the blue buff, and he's right here. Eclipse needs to be careful because they know that Tomio's here.
They do, and look at how much damage that Eclipse had taken just from Surdy. Tomio could really easily go for that visit topside, but he doesn't actually want to. Not sure where XU is, and probably wise, because XU was right behind him.
Yeah, and it does allow Eclipse to, should be able to farm this relatively cleanly, does have the flash up, so shouldn't be giving over a kill to Surdy anytime soon. And XU, level 6, potentially looking to hang out as the ultimate, going to stop Surdy from backing away, but XU just going to be finding this ward and cleaning that up. So just a bit of a back and forth continuing on this side of the map. And XU, I mean, he gets spotted out, they definitely know that he's here.
Right now, XU is just running circles around Tomio, who's been trying to just farm up for some time, look for a play here and there. XU onto this Rift Herald with the help of Eclipse right behind him. Dirty doesn't have TP. He recalled. They knew he was trying to go back to buy some items. They have free time onto the objective, second neutral of the game for Dignitas.
Great usage coming out from Dignitas of just their ability to play around their lanes, right? And understand, hey, we have more people here. We are here to play first. And JJ looking for Saligo, no ult.
They got the chain to connect, and they can pull him back in. Saligo, he is taken so low, and it is going to be Mama Bear with her second kill.
There you go. Very clean play coming in from Dignitas. JJ once again making usage of a roam timer, but it does mean that Spawn, currently pushed underneath the turret, is at a little bit of a risk and is going to be missing out on a couple of minions. So a bit of a missed timer coming in for Dignitas, but now they're looking for Skytech. He's still level 4.
Oh, that is rough right there, but thankfully, Darkwings already had used up that Distortion Mimic before to get the kill onto Saligo, so Skytech wasn't in too much trouble from Darkwings at that moment.
Yeah, so this is not how I was expecting this game to be going, Magical, right? We spent a lot of time pumping up Kaori and Skytech, the Cowtech, and having an opportunity to build up these big advantages. And praising Skytech in particular is one of these newer players that was really able to be aggressive alongside Kaori previously. But the level 1, the experience that JJ has shown, and just putting Skytech so low that he wasn't able to interact in the first couple of levels is ballooning into this huge advantage now, as we see that they have 100% kill participation for JJ across the map, because he's not only winning his lane, he's also starting to win the rest of the map too.
Right, that was his third time visiting mid lane too, just to get that kill. He's been constantly on the prowl, moving around, allowing Spawn to escort these minions into the turret and then leave lane, go somewhere else. The only lane we haven't really seen visited is this top lane because the island, but that's fine for Dignitas right now. They can easily just have XU right behind them, try to see if they can get these plates.
Yeah, okay, XU is going to be spending a lot of time here. Notice he still has 3 camps available. Raptors, Wolves, and Gromp are all still available. And with 40 seconds before the Dragon, even if they get the kill, it doesn't necessarily mean that they get that objective off the back of it. So, bit of waste of time coming out from XU, but considering how well he's pathed earlier in the game, we can kind of give him a pass for this one, I think.
And I almost wonder if he's doing this just so he can see if they can plop down the Rift Herald and then immediately book it for the Dragon that's going to spawn here in 20 seconds.
Yeah, but the question I have is, like, couldn't he been doing the Raptors this time?
Yeah, true.
Right? He's missing out on a little bit of money, but now that the Rift Herald is actually dropped, it is going to be in a spot where the rest of the team can move aggressively, but I'm not sure if Dignitas know where Tomio is. And Tomio just waiting in the wings right next to mid. Dark Wings can't safely come down. Oh, the distortion!
Nice distortion back, though. That's the one thing about LeBlanc. Slippery little champion that. Can't really easily lock her down unless you have some hard CC. So here, you see Dignitas utilizing the fact they now know where Tomio is to get control around the Dragon.
JJ super, super bold at this point. Level 6 to Skytech's level 5. Dignitas not looking like they are super excited about this fight just quite yet. I imagine that Spawn and JJ probably sitting on a lot of gold before they actually want to take this fight.
That's what I was thinking as well. The fact that you want to be able to get that Kraken Slayer for Spawn, able to complete that with that recall. And now you can try to see if you can muster up that control again in this bottom lane. Try to grab your second dragon of the game so they can be that much closer to the soul point.
Yeah. Also, Surdy. I mean, we were asking which one of these guys is going to be getting to their serrated dirk first. The answer is Surdy this time around. And the Ninja Tabai, or excuse me, the plated steel caps, a bit of a league boomer at this point, coming out for Eclipse, does a decent amount to mitigate that. But we're also seeing Eclipse choosing not to go with the Eclipse build in this matchup. Instead, going to be going for the shield bow in order to take these longer style of fights. Not looking to blow up the squishies. Instead, he's just going to be going for these consistent auto attacks to make sure that anybody who comes in is going to get shredded. So a very different style than I was expecting to be coming out of Eclipse going into Surdy's Jace. But as we're seeing, he's doing A-okay, just a little bit more defensive style of build.
I like that play coming in from Tomio. Was able to grab the dragon, utilizing Spawn and JJ having recalled the gold that they wanted to spend to be able to get that dragon. And now, Tomio fighting with JJ. The rocket going to go wide. Tomio will be fine, but he has to be a little bit more cautious next time. Even though there's not going to be an ignite for JJ, you can tell that Dignitas want this fight.
Dignitas have been looking really good. I've been a big fan of their defensive play so far today. They've gotten 3 kills and haven't given anything back. The only thing that they've lost is a couple of plates. Even though JJ got the kill in the mid lane, getting it traded for 2 plates is roughly equal gold trade across the map. But Spawn is going to be given, it looks like he's going to get soul gold for this turret, and wisely trying to make sure that the minions go down before he ends up taking the turret. And is, very much free to now move around the map.
Tomio looking like he's hanging around this mid lane.
Oh.
Darkwings was able to distortion back again. Flag and drag to get the knock up onto XU. With Soligo going back in. Ignite has been used on top of XU. We gotta be careful. JJ, protective Mama Bear again here in mid lane to make sure there's not gonna be anything for evil geniuses.
I like that. The Mama Bear comes in, just goes, "What's going on here? Nobody fight while I'm around," and it does mean that Dignitas is going to be A-okay. And see Unleashed Teleport starting to come through as well. So Dignitas, now that they've won the battle for the bottom side, they are now trying to transition, right? This is always the mark of a good play, and somebody like JJ, who is such an experienced player for this level of play, is moving people around and says, okay, well, Eclipse, I know you're just doing A-okay up against Jace on the far side of the map. Why don't you go down and hang out in the bottom side so that Spawn and I can take the turret. Is that okay? Are you gonna be okay down there?
Oh, of course Eclipse is going to be fine with that
Fine.
too. They're gonna be like, yeah, sure. Why not? Get my Jinx more gold? Of course.
And a red buff for me? Oh, you shouldn't have. There's too much. Just so many treats going over to Dignitas' way. But we do have to note that there is one crucial difference between these two teams as we start looking at the next objective, Magical, and that is Surdy has teleport, and Eclipse, even if he chooses to stay bottom lane, doesn't have a turret that he can realistically take, and that's why you're seeing him already moving towards the mid lane, just in case Evil Geniuses want to try and commit and actually go for a fight here. But Tomio, again, kind of getting circles run around him this game. XU is always at these objectives first, and the only exception we've had to that was the Mountain Dragon, where Dignitas chose not to even contest that.
XU is one of these junglers too that we've just been looking at how well he's been performing here in this season. Just always been able to get the upper hand on his competition. Try to see if he can get these early plays to work out. I mean, how many times did he gank early on this Lee Sin? This is also why we don't ever want to see people just let XU have Lee Sin.
Yeah, it looks really, really good every time he brings it around. And even here, XU just hovering by the top side, wanting to make sure that Spawn and JJ don't get pushed around by Tomio. And as he hovers around, I mean, we're noticing that we were looking at the spot where he was giving up a lot of potential CS in order to help out the rest of his map. He's not behind in CS. He's only about 2.5 camps at this point, which, considering how much impact he's had on the map so far, is absolutely peanuts. He's looking A-okay, and he's still up in gold despite being behind in farm because he's participating in the turret plates, he's participating in these assists, and it means that Dignitas just have no plates on the map where they're really behind.
No, and they're able to utilize that lead. They're able to push around Evil Geniuses, make sure they're not going to get anything. And for Evil Geniuses' sake, I don't know what they can really do at this moment, besides getting some gold for Surdy on the side lanes, maybe try to see if they can make a play for Saligo by roaming him around. But it's not like you could really easily grab Darkwings here in the mid lane. Saligo has to get outside of this lane to really have that impact.
Yeah. And so I kind of want to go back to the video that Cubby and I made at the beginning of the day, right? Where we were saying that, yes, you know, even some of the clips that we saw, yes, Kaori was not set up in a spot where he was necessarily expecting to be able to win a lot of those engagements. But if he had been willing to step up and say, hey, I need to be the one to carry this spot, he could have. And that's what we're looking for this guy right now. You know, people have been saying he's going to be one of the next people that could potentially move up to LCS. This is an opportunity to prove it. Even though their team is about 3,000 gold behind, he is now on this Aphelios. He's on an item and a half. He's got the last Whisper, so he can start to shred a lot of people if the team is around, and if he's able to conceptualize the threats that Dignitas are creating, play around them, and get all the damage out that he possibly can.
Dragon, though, is taken by Dignitas. Kaori
They got him.
already back. He was just getting to the game, and they're going to be able to get the kill on Tomio before he can even arrive. The rest of Evil Genius now split away from Saligo, so they have to completely retreat to their turret.
Yo, that hook was criminal coming out from JJ, just barely catching him around the corner. League of Legends. Okay, XU almost goes down on the backside, but going to be A-okay. They find themselves another dragon this game, and Evil Geniuses just a little bit slow to a lot of these rotations. They have the right idea, they're just not quite fast enough to make it working. Dignitas is running circles around them.
The confidence of Dignitas to call these plays where, like you said, Evil Genius is just not ready. Kaori had just recalled, was just pathing back in to try to see if he could rejoin his team, meant that he was a good 5 seconds behind. He couldn't join, so when Tomio got caught after the dragon had already fallen, there's nothing that Evil Geniuses could do to defend him.
See if Evil Geniuses can figure out how to be at these places first coming up, because it's not a spot where the game is over. Yes, it's a 3,000 gold lead going over to Dignitas, but Spawn, he has flash.
Spawn might be the target. He flashed over the wall though to make sure that he could not get hit by that Moonlight Vigil out of Kaori. Now it's EG who are in a bad spot because Eclipse was able to poke them out that entire time as they had to retreat back to their turret once more.
Yeah, but it's jungle privilege, man. He's just gonna go back into the jungle, get all these fruit, and hit his camps and come out with more HP on the other side of doing so. Now Eclipse on the bottom side looking to potentially farm up against Surdy. Oh,
Dragon Drag follow up the kick
Wow.
from XU right into the waiting wings of Dark Wings. Even though there's a smite from Tomio, he dies again. Skytech back to
Soligo.
Kaori. Look at Soligo, the flank. He was able to get the charm, but it's going to be a cleanse coming in from spawn to be able to survive. The TP as well from Eclipse with a pick on to Skytech. It's huge for Dignitas.
Surdy's already here as well, and he just doesn't get to play the game at all. Eclipse just going to be zoning them off 1v2 at this point. It just feels like Dignitas are so much more coordinated than Evil Geniuses in this game, and now they're going to reward themselves with the mid lane turret. They are just winning on all fronts.
Coordinated, but also 2 steps ahead of Evil Geniuses at every single stage. That pick right there was perfect. Even with the flank from Soligo, there wasn't much they can do. So we take a look at this replay, and there's just good calls from Dignitas.
Yeah, it's another play coming out from XU, right? Waiting for the Q to come through, looking for an opportunity. And Tomio, I mean, just sits there trying to get a little bit of HP back by hitting the Raptors, but it's not enough. And then by the time Soligo comes in, it's still just, you don't have enough friends on the map. And coming in at different angles with not enough HP means that Skytech ends up going down as well. Struggling a little bit this game, but we know that he can step it up, and there's still plenty of opportunities for Evil Geniuses to try and find something because of the amount of burst that this roster has built into their composition.
Dignitas are the ones still in control. They're the ones still pushing back Evil Geniuses and making sure that they can get control around this top half of the map, especially with the Baron up. It's only 20 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. There's a 4,500 gold lead for Dignitas, and even though Evil Geniuses have now been able to clear out some of the vision for Dignitas, just going to be rinse and repeat from Dig, go topside, get that vision back.
See how they do it, right? Dignitas, though, is taking total control of the other side of the map, and they're creating a lot of space for Darkwings to continue farming in this game. He's got 6 stacks on his Dark Seal as well. Dark Seal for Darkwings. Eclipse needs to be careful. Like the attempt from Skytech, just Eclipse, he could tell something fishy was going on.
And all the while, Darkwings has been able to push in this bot lane, get a lot of chip damage onto the start. Doubt he'll be able to take it since they don't have spawn nearby, but that's a lot of damage onto this tier 2. A good position to put themselves in. They want to get that objective gold back onto the team as well as push back Evil Geniuses towards their base.
And because he got 2/3 of the turret, you know that if Dignitas are able to do this again, it's just going to be an entire turret on his Darkwings. You know, he's trading some damage with Surdy. Unfortunately, Shock Blast, 2 items already completed onto Surdy's Jace, does a lot of damage. Jace is not the solely early game champion that a lot of people still think of him as. He scales really well, especially against a composition like Dignitas' that is so squishy. You don't have any true frontliners other than the Nautilus. And so now, 30 seconds out from the Dragon, people need to get their backs in order to spend all their gold. Otherwise, they're just going to be using what they currently have in their inventories for the upcoming fight. And Darkwing's caught.
Look. Yeah, Darkwings had already distortion back. They can look for the charm, but he's going to be able to get away. It's going to be the flag and drag with the Cataclysm right to Surdy's hands.
Okay, there we go. That's the first play coming through with so many members of Evil Geniuses on the bottom side. Dignitas are not going for the Dragon. They're just starting up the Baron with double 80 carries and Lee Sin. They do this really, really quickly, and Surdy's already teleporting.
How many people were bot lane? There's a lot, but they're turning now. The pick onto Skytech, who's able to flash away, but the Rockets are going to be able to connect, and now it's a 5v4. They got to be careful. A lot of damage still on to Tomio. They bounced him around that entire time. The flash comes in from Eclipse. Not going to be able to get the zap, but it's going to be a dredge line going wide. Surdy's still fighting against Eclipse. Has to be careful, though. That is a lot of damage that can come in from both sides, and here's going to be this charm body blocked by XU, but he flashed away. Moonlight Vigil still chunking at Dignitas members. The fact that there is a 1-for-1 play across the map means neither team can get control.
I hope we get a replay of that because we got to take a look at how Kaori was positioning during that fight.
Look at this, Josh. Still got the flank coming in. Darkwing's able to find Soligo, but it's going to be the charm. Not enough to stop him with an Ignite burning killing spree for XU. Darkwings, he survives that entire time, and now sole point potential is in the hands of Dignitas.
Dignitas were the ones who were down a member at the beginning of that play, and because they were so willing to just threaten the Baron, they're the ones who end up getting the Dragon anyway. But we got a replay. Let's watch how Kaori plays during this. Notice that Dignitas JJ has used all of his buttons already, and Kaori walking up spends a couple of times walking back and forth and doesn't get any of the damage down that he needs to onto JJ. They need to be willing to play this aggressive style because even with the fact that they're down 3,000-4,000 gold when this play happens, Kaori has the damage to step up and actually carry some of these fights, just isn't quite willing to do that in ways that we know he's capable of based on his time in the Turkish League.
But see, this is the thing where we look at Dignitas, and this is a team that has a lot of confidence making these plays. Even if the play doesn't necessarily look too advantageous, they still fight it every single time with the utmost confidence.
Yeah.
And that is what catches a lot of teams off guard.
Ligo.
Because they think most teams are going to back off. They think most teams aren't going to look for these plays. But Dignitas, you can see how they're posturing right now, are posturing aggressively.
Everywhere they are starting to step forward, and it creates a lot of situations where, you know, I'm being a little critical of Kaori right now, but he's making, to his credit, they're forced errors. It's not just a situation where, you know, he's just missing flashes over easy walls or doing anything super egregious. These are small things that we're starting to be critical of, and Dignitas always creating pressure.
Tomi had to flag and drag away, which means that he has to wait a little bit until he has that engaged tool back. Going to be able to get the
JJ.
zap onto Skytech. This is a lot of damage now. It's going to be a poke battle. Surdy versus Spawn. Both of them can do a lot of damage from good range. We know that Surdy, with the 2 items completed, is going to be a little bit more powerful than the crit Jinx on the other side.
Yeah, it's not the lethality like you always build in your ARAMs. You know,
I do like that.
I'm a little bit surprised you didn't retort. It's like, oh no, I actually build my Jinx AP.
Well, I do that too, but that's different. This is going to be Surdy, though, getting picked and blown up by Eclipse. And to hell with even needing the lethality. They got the damage coming in from Graves.
They just don't know whether or not they're allowed to step forward right now, and it's definitely biting them in the butt. So Ligo 0-2 on this Ari, not having a whole lot of success, and now he's spotted.
Now he's spotted, but it's going to be the charm going out. JJ Darkwings trying to hold the line. The Tomio cannot get into the pit. It's going to be XU over the wall. Now the attempted kick back away, making sure Tomio has no way in, and he's assassinated by Darkwings, the Baron. Easy Dignitas, no Baron flip today.
Checking all the boxes, crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's. Dignitas is not giving Evil Geniuses even one way back into this game. Just the amount of pressure they're able to create and their ability to just burst out a single member, this time in Surdy. I mean, I don't even think Surdy thought that he was in danger when he ends up blowing up at this point. And with the Baron, just making sure that Tomio can't come in, you don't need to have your smite in the pit all the time if they don't even have a smite to begin with. So great stuff coming out from the members of Dignitas, 2 minutes away from the actual Ocean Soul. And at that point, I think we can probably call it quits. Evil Geniuses, their clock is ticking, and they have like maybe 1 or 2 more fights in order to try and bring this one back.
I'm wondering where they're going to find that fight, especially against this confident Dignitas squad. Always on the prowl, always looking for these plays. They have to somehow see if they can get the upper hand over Dignitas, and we've just seen time and time again in this game that just has not been happening.
Well, Soligo, they seem to have some idea that he's there, and with the charm coming, it confirms it. So as they push their way in, I don't think there's enough wave clear to deal with the Baron Ups minions that are coming in from Dignitas, and everybody is starting to come through, and that means the mid lane completely undefended. Soligo!
That crit coming in from Spawn was huge, but he takes a lot of damage too from Surdy. Rocket, body blocked by Surdy, so that way Soligo will live.
Okay, mid lane though, Darkwings is also pushing in the wave. They are going to be getting pressure in multiple lanes at the same time. That's a structure going down on the side of Evil Geniuses, and again, the top lane, that's a lot of gold that just got put into Dignitas, and they already have such a large lead. Can Evil Geniuses find anything this game?
Well, I love how Dignitas are positioning Joshi. Look at how XU, JJ, Eclipse have been going back and forth, mid to top, to make sure that Evil Geniuses cannot actually go for these plays. They can't look for these fights because how mobile Dignitas is as a squad.
There you go. Yeah, with Kaori here, he's not going to be able to participate if there is a potential fight happening on the other side of the base, just because he's so far away, and this is going to be it. The first inhibitor turret goes down. JJ and Spawn.
Oh. And there's attempted fight. It's going to be Skytech. He's got a shield, but he still dies to Spawn all the same. Kaori getting a lot of damage, but not able to get through the shield fully of Eclipse. Has to be careful. Surdy looking for that poke as well. They are able to at least stop the base from falling to Dignitas, but they still lose their support in the trade with a rocket. Not enough.
So close, though. Okay, and we already see Eclipse. He was just top lane. He just teleports towards the bottom side of the map. They want to make sure that they are here first for the Dragon, because even a man down, they still feel strong enough.
TP from Surdy as well. It's
they know
Eclipse
is here.
inside, right outside of the pit, making sure he can spot out who's going to show up. Going to be a shock blast, but the straight up damage coming in from Eclipse. Surdy took a lot, and with XU over the wall, they've spotted him out as well. Look for the Sonic Wave, wasn't able to connect it. Flag and drag on top of him. He's trying to see if he can jump over the wall. We'll be able to get back to the safety of Spawn. But now with 4 members of Dignitas here against the 4 members of Evil Geniuses, Skytech is still not here. Neither is JJ. Mama Pair cannot protect the team. cannot escort you and get you back into the base if you're going to all die beforehand, as they all look for the ship damage onto one another. Tomio takes a lot from Darkwing.
Yeah, so Ligo's ult is also down. He can't participate in the fight, and Evil Geniuses have to give it up. I think this was it. I think this was the moment that they had to try and go for something magical, and Dignitas just... It's not quite a perfect game, but it feels like it in a lot of ways, right? They gave up one turret, they gave up one dragon, they gave up 2 kills, and the rest of the game has just been this slow burn of them constantly creating advantages and creating opportunities to pick up objectives underneath the nose of Evil Geniuses. Dignitas, if they're going to be playing like this for the rest of the first half of the split, they're going to continue moving up the standings, and now Tomio has to be careful he doesn't get caught.
Yeah, and that he almost did. It was a nice flag and drag away that time. He timed out that Sonic Wave, so he didn't actually have Lee Sin on top of him to kick him back into the fight. But all the while, Dignitas have been escorting these minions in again. Mid lane, bot lane, this time, looking to see if they can topple more structures.
This inhibitor turret is not long for this world. They're going to be taking that down. Spawn gets excited, and again, same story. Darkwing's currently in the mid lane. There they go.
Wait a minute. That's going to be the purple gun to get a lot of rooted members on Dignitas, but they still lose Skytech all the same. 5th death of the game. The inhibitor is now gone. Trying to kite back, but a good pull comes in to get the kill on a Kaori, with Evil Genius is now routed back to the steps of their fountain. They might be able to get one pick, but I don't think they got the damage to be able to survive it. Double kill comes in from Spawn.
Yeah, rough game coming out from Evil Geniuses, and now they're going to be looking for an opportunity to try and defend his base, but Saligo, his ultimate just came back up, but he doesn't have the damage.
And he took a lot of damage just initially from a little bit of the combo. Out of Darkwings, Tomio too has to flag and drag back to the steps of his fountain. This game is over. Dignitas have been able to win this one cleanly to go up 1-0 in our best of 2.
Wow, first half, absolute dominance coming through from Dignitas from start to finish, every single place along the map. There is no real way for Evil Geniuses to really come into that one, and that's the kind of just raw power that Dignitas has. We were asking, are they going to continue showing continued strength across the rest of the split? This is a great way to show that they are ready for both of the other teams on 100 Thieves and CLG if they can continue it.
It's the confidence from Dignitas too that we keep talking about. How every time they were looking for a play, even if it looked like it could have been a 50-50, they played it as though they were the ones with 100% of the advantage. Never once did they even seem like they were going to falter. That's something you want to see out of these academy players, especially some of these newer players. And this is why we touted the experience, the veteranship coming in from this bot lane out of Dignitas, how they've been able to lead Eclipse, Exio, and Darkwings.
Yeah, I mean, just great stuff. I really want to shout out JJ, like we already have been for most of the game. Like, he looked... Thank you,
really
Leche.
good.
He's been looking really, really good so far across the day, and XU as well, constantly creating pressure. The jungle support synergy giving them a lot of advantages here in their game 1.
Yeah, and with that success, it looked clean. I am just curious to see what Evil Geniuses have in their back pocket, if they're going to be able to pull out anything going into game 2 to try to even this one up, or if Dignitas are going to make the statement game. Say, hey, we are the team that deserves to be at the top. We'll find that out after a break. When we come back, we'll have our lovely Frenchmen here for our halftime show, so make sure you stick around.
Pro play can sometimes be really